Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I will be showing you guys pretty much what the title says. How to make a clothing pack from scratch. Yes, you heard me right, from scratch. Without any of the generators or anything that does it for you. If you want to know how to do it from scratch and try to fix certain things, even if you do use a generator, just stay tuned for this video. But today I will just be showing you how to make it from scratch. I will be providing the tools that you'll need. The reason why we'll need them, we'll be making our files, our folders, naming our files, preparing our files, and making sure that they work in our servers. So guys, but first, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I love to produce more free videos for you guys in the future. So let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, guys. So the first thing we'll do is get into the tools that we needed. I'm telling you right now, there's not a lot of tools that we need to even make clothing pack. There's one main tool you'll need, which is your YMT editor. So what the YMT editor is pretty much a tool that allows you to edit your YMT files. So I'm pretty sure you're like, what is a YMT file? So it's pretty much your ped clothes. As you all know or may not know, your ped clothes do have its certain limits and limitations. So I will provide all these links, everything I'm going to, in the description. That way you can look it over. But so just for an example, say you have you have shirt, pants, shoes, accessories, and everything. So each accessory, shoes, pants, whatever you have, there's limits to it. So in a YNC editor, you can have a max of 128 drawables per component. So if you have a lot of J-bibs, you can only have 128 per component pretty much for each one. So J-bib, pants, vests, bags, each category. So props, 225. So I just wanted to give you some of that information because that is very important when making your clothing pack. You don't want to go over. I normally, with my clothing packs or each YMT file that I do, I don't go over 127. So over 128, pushing it. 129, you can still build on it. It will let you build on to 129, 130, whatever, but it will tell you, hey, your game is going to crash. And you will see that your game is going to crash when you are over certain limits on the YMT editor. So that is the one tool that you will need for sure, is the YMT editor. That is our main one. The next will be your source code. So as you know, every time we have a stream folder, we have to have a Fxmanifest along with it. That also helps stream our clothes onto these servers. So you're gonna need one. The ones that are most common are Notepad++ or Visual Code Studio. They are both free. You can use either one of those, doesn't matter. I use Visual Code Studio. That's what I'll be using in the demonstration today. OpenIV is your next one. It's pretty much is optional but not needed. In case you want to see your files and how they look, you can use this. I probably won't be using this in the demonstration, but you can use this. It is optional. Okay, so next you're also going to need pretty much common sense or common knowledge and background on information on how to stream clothes. I can't get into all of that information in today's video, but just quickly, in order to stream things for FiveM, if you are streaming a big server, you already know you're gonna have to have a subscription or Patreon subscription to cfx.re. If you are in a test server, which I normally do, just testing out clothes because I don't own a server, but I make things. So I normally have my player slots to 8 and under. Well, really, I can put it at 1 because it's just me. But if I have someone coming in and want to test things with me, I put it at 8 and under. So in your config, you would change your player slots to 8 and below. I believe is now 10 and below, but don't quote me on that. Just ask around or look around to see what is the proper player slot that you need to put in your config in order to stream clothes and things like that. So like I said, I put it at 8 for me because I'm in a test server. and there's nobody in it. So as you know, you're going to need at least this third most popular one in order to stream your clothes if you are having a lot of player slots. But you'll need knowledge on that because I'm not going to explain that. So, and like I said, you also would need knowledge on this right here, your limits and limitations and crash issues on your YMT. I'm not going to get into that, but I will leave both links in the description for you guys to get into and read up on. All right, and last but not least, you're going to need just an open space, you know, pretty much somewhere where you can start making your folders, because we are going to make a bunch of folders, but just keep in mind, I will provide you a template on a clothing pack template. But if you want to make your own, you can make your own, but just make sure you have a free open space just to make or start your server folders here. That way we can stay organized, because the goal of the video is really to stay organized and make sure we are doing this correctly. All right, guys, so I want to get into getting our files prepared. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get into getting some mods from GTA 5 mods. But in this example, you'll be using your own mods if you want, or if you want to get some mods from GTA 5 mods. So I'm just going to pull a handful of mods. Hopefully I can find some with a bunch of textures to show as an example. So I'm going to pull a few. And then we'll just keep this tutorial going. All right, so I have downloaded all of my files that I want to use in my clothing pack from GTA 5 mods. We're gonna get into making our files and folders and making sure that we are correctly naming these files and folders that we're gonna use in our FiveM server. So the first thing we wanna do, like I said, you wanna make sure you have an empty space, somewhere where you can build your files and folders here. So the first file we're gonna start with is a new folder. The new folder is going to be the name of what your CFG is going to stream or ensure. So I'm going to just name this clothing pack. And this will be the resource that we stream to FiveM. So when you go into your CFG and you ensure, you're going to ensure this clothing pack file. Next, what we'll need to do is go into that clothing pack file, and we're just going to name our first file that every GTA resource needs. If you are ensuring that folder, you're going to need a stream folder. So we're going to make a brand new folder again inside of that clothing pack, and we're just going to name this stream. And just make sure everything that you are naming and renaming is all lowercase letters. All right. So along with the stream, we're going to need a Fxmanifest and a metadata file, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. So next, what we're going to do is build our files and folders. With GTA and the YMT, it comes really with 12 components. So those 12 components include the things here you see on the clothing menu. So all of them will be in the clothing area. There's two that will be in the appearance menu, which is the hair and also the beard. And there's your main one is the heritage, which GTA specifies as the head. So all of those make up the YMT file. So what we're going to do is make 12 folders to separate. And one thing, guys, I'm going to tell you, just stay organized. Staying organized will help you building your clothing pack. So we're just going to go ahead and make 12 folders. So first we'll start with the head, and I'm just going to go ahead and run down the list. The first will be the head. There's no other name for the head. The next will be the beard. BERD is how they spell it. And that's really the mask. The next will be the hair. There's no other name for it, so I just simply put hair. Next will be the upper. Upper is pretty much your arms. The next will be your lower, LOWR. and that will be your legs. The next will be your hand, and that's pretty much your bags here, your bags and parachute. The next will be feet. Pretty self-explanatory, is your shoes. The next will be teeth, T-E-E-F. And this is your scarves and chains. So I'm just put chains. Then you have to make a new folder for accessories. So ACCS will be your shirts. The next will be your task, TASK, which is your body armor. The next will be your decals, which they spell it DECL. And that would be self-explanatory, your decals. And the last would be your JBib. Pretty sure everybody knows what that one is. And that is your jackets. Now, I like to add more things like for makeup or base feet, just to try to stay very, very organized. So this is pretty much your 12 components on making your clothing pack and keeping them strictly organized. All right, so now there is other drawables, which are the prop drawables, which pretty much is your glasses, your jewelry, your hats. That's pretty much what you see here. That's a different video for a different day. We're just gonna pretty much build on our main 12 components. Those 5 prop sections are named very different, so I won't even get into those, but I will show you in the YMT editor later in the video of what I mean. All right, guys, so let's get into what is needed to stream. So the two most needed things that is to stream is your YDD and your YTD. So what's a YDD? A YDD is actually the base model or the actual clothing itself. And then you have your YTD, which is pretty much the textures, the colors that puts onto your base model. So those are the two things you'll need. Now the YDD would only be for each prop or each item. It only should be one. So you should only have one YDD. Now for your YDD, there is a maximum. The maximum is 26. So just think of it like this. There are 26 letters in the alphabet. So you only can have 26 letters going down like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into how to name these files. So in order to name these files would need to be named how GTA accepts them. So your files would need, I'm going to go ahead and use a example of something I've already downloaded because this example is already set. All right, so let's go ahead and take this hoodie for example. So as we know, we can go ahead and put this into a JBib or jacket slot. If you don't want it in a JBib or jacket slot, you can just change the name going forward. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use this jacket right here. So I'm going to just bring the files over. So I want to put this in jackets. You can put it in a different slot if you want, but I'm just going to do something that's mainly easy. All right. So like I said, I will be providing you guys with a clothing pack template. It will have the numbers going down. But so I'm just going to make a new folder. You can create as many folders as you want inside of folders. It does not matter. GTA will still read them no matter how deep your folders are. So I'm just going to do this as the hoodie. I'm going to go in here and drop these files that I have gotten from GTA5 mods. So we're just going to start with what I told you. We have two types of files, the YDD and the YTD. So we're going to name them. So when you name them or rename them, you're always going to use a prefix and a suffix. The prefix will start with the YDD and rename it. Should always be all lowercase letters when you're renaming and naming. MP underscore. You're going to use F for female or either M for male. So I'm using a male pack or creating a male pack. So I'm going to use the M. Then you're going to hit underscore free mode underscore 01. All right, so this prefix will be placed on every file name that you are naming, your YDDs and also your YTDs. Now, there are two types of suffixes. The one that we've already created here is actually your replacement. So if you are replacing the regular GTA close, you're going to always use the MP underscore M or F underscore free mode underscore 01, and then you'll add your suffix at the end, or if you're replacing, this is what you'll use. Now, since we are using an add-on pack that we're making, we're gonna have to extend this so that we can add on to the original GTA close. So the second prefix is the MP underscore M underscore Freema underscore 01, and then you'll put another underscore and then the name of your pack. So the name of my pack is Isha. So this is what I will be using throughout all my names, and also my files when I am making an add-on clothing pack. So you would use this prefix here. Okay. So now let's get into the suffix. So one thing you need to remember is that which component you're using. So I am in a JBib, so I'm going to add that JBib to our suffix. And remember, when you put in your suffix, so I'm going to rename this, it must have the up bracket here. That is how you start your suffix, okay? So you have your beginning. I'm going to do it on this pack too. How about I just make this a little bit easier for you guys? All right, so I pretty much separated them just to make it a little bit easier. So like I said, this will be your replacement prefix, and this will be your add-on prefix here. So like I said, you can name it whatever you want after the 01. All right. So now we're gonna get into making our suffix. The suffix will be the same throughout every YDD. So it doesn't matter what it is after. It's gonna be the same over here as well. So here's how you should name your suffix. So after the bracket, we are working with the YDD and the JBib. So you will place your prop name, what GTA names them. So I'm in JBib, and remember this is the YDD only. JBib. All right, then after JBib is underscore, and then this is the number you will start your clothing pack at. So you will start your replacements at 000, and also your add-ons at 000 as well. So it's like making two clothing packs in one, doing a replacement and also doing the add-ons. So after JBib, you're gonna do 000 because that's where we're starting. Then an underscore, and then there's two ways you can use your endings. There is a U for universal, and then there's a R for if you have skin data. So say for example, if you have an object that has skin attached to it, it will be labeled with the R at the end. If it doesn't have skin attachment, it will be a U. All right. And just remember that the 000 goes all the way to 128. I like to keep it at 127 just in case. If you're going over 128, remember that I did in the beginning of the video where I said there is limits. So read up on the limits to what you can have. So every YDD should be 000 to 0128. So 128 YDDs, as well as 128 YDDs for add-ons as well. All right, so this hoodie doesn't have skin attached, so I'm gonna leave it at the U. And you pretty much just made and named your YDD file for FiveM. So I'm gonna use the same suffix for the add-on as well. So JBib underscore 000 underscore U, because it doesn't have a skin replacement. So you pretty much just automatically made your YDD file. All right, so the same thing goes for the YTD file, which is your textures here. So like I said, your textures can go up to 26 textures, all the way A through Z. So let's get into naming our YTD. All right, so we have our first YTD. This YDD or this hoodie has two textures. So we're only going to use A and B. So if you have more than two textures, you just go all the way down to Z. So here's the difference. What we're going to do, we're going to still use our first suffix, which is the MP underscore M underscore free mode underscore 01, and then make sure we put in our bracket going up. Here is a big difference. So just know that texture equals diffuse. So we're going to do the same thing. Place in our model first, jbib underscore, use the words DIFF, which means diffuse, which means textures, which means your YTD. Okay. So now we're going to put in the model number underscore 000 underscore A, which is our first texture, then underscore UNI for universal. So just remember, you can also do one with skin attributes. So if it has skin attributes, instead of UNI, you're going to put WHI. Okay. I will also tell you how to use your skin replacement in your YMT file as well. So just remember, if you are using the U for your YDD, it should be uni. So U to uni. And if you are using R, we're going to go ahead and name it the same way. Just remember to put the prop or the pack name, Isha, after your 01. And then you're going to put WHI if you have skin attributes here. So just remember R to white, U to uni. All right. So now you just named your files and know how to name your files. So if you have more textures, you're just going to copy this, copy, paste, and just change the A to B. That's only for your one model. Okay. So if you have another model, so I'm just going to change this back to you because it's our replacement here, or our add-on. And I'm going to do uni. All right. So like I said, if you have more textures, just go ahead and continue down all the way to Z. So replacement, this should be like the example. This has more textures in it. And it's the first prop, 000. And as you see, this is my template right here. So this will be the second add-on. You see how it goes to 001 instead? My second add-on, it goes to 002, and so on and so forth. All right. So you pretty much just went ahead and named your files and components. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use what I've downloaded from GTA5 mods to plug in these things into our stream folder. And I'm going to use the prefix and the suffix that I just taught you guys here, okay? I do have a skin attribute, which is the boxer's legs. So I'm going to also show you guys that as well, just so we know. All right, so I'm going to use this as a use this as an add-on actually. All right, so I'm in the mods here, and it has the YDD and 6 textures here, so A through F. So just like how I explained, we're gonna go into legs because that's where I want it. I'm just gonna name this boxer's skin texture. All right, so I'm using this as an add-on. So I'm gonna first take the YDD, bring it over, MP underscore M underscore free mode underscore 01 underscore Isha because it is an add-on. Then I'm gonna use my bracket. And since this is a lower, so we're gonna say LOWR underscore. I'm gonna use this as the first one, or maybe you want to put it as the second one, but I will use this as the first one since I only have one of these. Well, actually, I do have pants in here, so I will show you guys that too. Okay, so lower 000 because it's my very first one underscore. Since it has skin attributes, I'm gonna use R. So I just named my YDD. So I'm going to take all the YTD, which is the textures, and bring them over. I'm going to pretty much copy this, put it on my A, paste. And remember, we're just going to insert the diff after the lower, because that means it's a diffuse texture. And change this to WHI, as I've stated before, instead of uni. So R equals white, U is uni. So I'm just going to copy this. Oh, I forgot to put the letter as well. So after the 000, you put underscore A underscore, okay? So I'm just going to copy that and apply it to all my other textures here. And making sure to change the A going down the alphabet. All right, so I renamed them. So pretty much everything you get from GTA5 mods will be single player ready. So this I just pretty much showed you how to make them FiveM ready by changing the single players to FiveM ready. Okay, so like I said, this is not the replacement. This is the add-on. Okay, and just know you do not need a YMT for a replacement. We're only making YMTs for add-on props or add-on clothes. I don't know why I say props, but add-on clothes. So this is the reason why we're using the YMT. Okay. So now we got that in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward this video. Continue to add in the other mods that I've already downloaded, and you guys will see, and we'll move on to the YMT editor. All right, so I'm going to show you an example of where you can place your items in different slots or different components. So here I have jeans, and say if I want to place it in maybe jackets or JBib, actually shirt. A lot of times pants are in shirts. So say if I wanted in shirts here. So I'm going to put jeans, name a folder for that. And I'm going to place it in shirts. So this is going to be an add-on. So MP underscore M underscore free mode underscore Isha bracket. And then we're going to do accessories because that's the component we're in. ACCS underscore 000 underscore. This doesn't have skin attributes, so I'm going to say U. All right, then for my textures, I'm going to do MP underscore M underscore free mode underscore 01. I forgot the 01. See, this is why you need to be very careful when doing this. You can sometimes forget, like I do forget to add in certain stuff. 01 underscore Isha bracket ACCS underscore diff for diffuse underscore 000 underscore A underscore UNI. All right. So I pretty much changed the pants into the to be in the shirts instead of the lower, as how they named it for their single player mode. And I'm gonna change this to B. Just remember, sometimes it copies the YTDs. Make sure that's not on. I meant uni. Okay, so I pretty much put it into a different slot or a different component. So that's how you do that as well. All right, guys, so we're gonna pull up our YMT editor here. And more info run anyways. All right, so you should come into a menu like this. So have this menu up along with your clothing pack here. I'll have it up as well. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and open up a brand new YMT editor. So we're gonna go to File, New. All right, so you should have this pop up here. So it's telling you, what are you doing? Are you doing male or female? So it's pretty self-explanatory. So you're gonna do MP underscore. Since I'm doing male, I'm gonna do the male. If you're doing female or other pad, non-pad, that will be it. So, and it tells you down here what it's gonna look like. All right, so remember I told you to name your clothing pack. So mine was Isha, so whatever it is. So just like how we named our files, it made it down here. So this will be the name of your YMT editor and the beginning of your replacement files here. So just remember, add-ons only require the YMT. If you're doing replacement, you don't need a YMT. It's just gonna replace whatever you put in, and it's gonna replace it in the game. So I'm gonna hit submit because this is what I name my YMT or my files. So, and you see it up here too. So remember how I said it has components. So when you go under components, you're gonna add the components. So as you can see, we have 12 components and we have props. So GTA only use the 5 props, and which I explained before. Now we will get into props at another later date, but right now we're getting to the very most important one, is the components of a clothing pack. So I don't have a head or any head. So you're not even gonna put, if you don't have any head models or anything, you're not even gonna add a head. A lot of times, You may have a clothing pack that doesn't even have it. So I'm not even going to add the head. So I know that we put items in hair. So I'm just going to add a hair component. I'm going to add I believe accessories. So I'm going to do accessories. I'm going to do feet and lower. I don't think I added anything in nowhere else. Oh, J-bib. So I added things into these. So these are the only things I will select because that's what's going to be in my clothing pack. Now, if your clothing pack has custom heads, custom mask, hair for beard, remember the what's equivalent to all of these. Upper is your arms, teeth is your chains, task body armor, and decal is your decals. All right. So, like I said, props is later. Options, I would just keep everything here the same as it is right here. All right. So we're starting with hair because I did add hair in. So I'm just going to go into my hair folder. And remember, we don't do anything with replacements. We don't need it. So we're just going to go into the add-on and only have one YDD. So one YDD is your drawable. So we're going to go under hair and it already has the 000. So you should match up whatever it is. So if I have more hair, I will add another drawable. And remember, it'll be the 001, which will be your next one if you had more than one hair in here. So I'm going to remove it because I only have one hair. So depending on how many textures, you're going to put how many textures. So as I see, I only have 3 textures on this YDD. So I'm going to hit it 2 more times to bring out the texture here. So under textures, you're just going to hit it. So I only have 3, A, B, C. So it should match up right here. All right. So we don't have to change any of this. Just keep this as is right here. All right, so we're gonna go into our next component that we have. So I'm gonna go into my lower because I have lower here. All right, so we're gonna drop down the lower and we're gonna go into our 000 first. We have one YDD with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 textures. So we're gonna hit the textures here and add one texture until we get to F. All right. So remember when I said that there is one file that has skin attached to it? So this is the one file, which is just the boxer with skin. Okay. So since we have a skin texture here, which is R, and we change this to WHI, we're gonna let YMT know that this is a skin texture as well. So you're gonna change the text ID value to white. Usually with the skin, if you have a file with the skin, any of these work, it does not matter, but just keep it at white. I know sometimes you'll see files that has the black on it. It doesn't matter. So the skin will take effect of your ped skin, what it's supposed to be. So if I have a black skin, it will change when I change the textures on here, okay? All right, so, and then it's gonna automatically change your prop mask to 17. Keep it at 17, okay? So we have loaded in our skin texture or skin additive texture here. So I know I have another lower, which is the 001. I'm going to add that drawable. So now I have 2 drawables under here. And remember, it must match with the YDD that you made. So I'm going to add textures up to D. Actually change this to white too. So if you don't have the skin one, I don't have another lower. But if you don't have the skin one, just keep everything as is. You don't have to change anything. Skin, change this text ID value to 1. And that's pretty much how you do it. So we're going to go ahead and continue. And I have a feet. I have 5 actually. So to make this easier, you're just going to keep adding up to 004 or how many ever you have here. And I'm just going to go in and add in the textures on this. So if it only has one texture, you don't have to go into view textures. It's already set and done. So 2001 has 2 textures. 002 has 4 textures. So up to D. Three has 1 texture, so I don't have to do anything. 4 has 2 textures, so I'm add up to B. Now, if you have shoes, like I said, that has the R instead, you change the R to white and that. I will get into heels at a later date because you have to do extra things with heels. You do have your hash as well if you want to have it with noise. So that's one more thing you'll have to do. I will provide you with the hashes as well for this because there's a lot. So the hashes will actually um allow you to have your shoes to make sounds or noises. So as you know, with heels, it makes the heels noises. With rubber boots, it makes the rubber boot noise. So um I will get into the heel section at a later date because that is just pretty much a um whole number video because you have to add in a creature metadata as well. Okay, so we're gonna continue. But like I said, I will provide you guys with the sounds to place. So we have accessories as well. So shirts. Now this is the one I use as in a different category. So I have one drawable. It's not an R texture, so I'm gonna add 2 textures to be. And then the last one I have is that jacket, the J-Bib. Remember, we're doing add-ons. Only 1 and 2 textures. All right, so pretty much you just made your first YMT for your add-on clothing here. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is press File, Save YMT, and I'm going to save it into that streaming pack that we made here. So it should be along with the stream here, okay? And it's saved. All right, so as you see, we have our YMT here. So this is perfect. All right, and the last one would be your creature metadata, but we don't need a creature metadata because like as it says right here, if you hover over it, creature metadata file only used with heels and hats. You don't need this. So like I said, it's at a later date. All right, so you're pretty much done. You can go ahead and exit out of it. And once you go back into your clothing pack folder that you've made, you should have the YMT data here along with your stream. All right, so here is our YMT file. Now, if you need to edit this YMT file or want to add more clothes to this YMT file, all you have to do is open back up the YMT editor. You're gonna open back up a brand new YMT editor, go to File, Open YMT, go back into that same YMT, and as you see, we have everything here. And you can just add in more drawables, how many ever drawables. Just remember your limits on your drawables is 128, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. So your limits on here is 128, so you can only do up to 128. Now it will allow you to do more than 128, but just remember back into this YMT game limit and crashes issues, please read this and know there are limits. If you go over the 128, I like to keep mine at 127 just in case. But it's all depending on what versions you use as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, so now that you have made your YMT, you're gonna go ahead and move your YMT to the stream folder here, and it should be inside the stream. So as I said earlier through the video, there are 2 files we'll need, which is our Fxmanifest and also our ped metadata. So you're gonna go ahead and pull up your source code editor, which I will be using the visual code here. All right, so I'll be using a visual code. Pretty much I will be providing the visual code LUA, and also I'll be providing the pet metadata as well. So you want to remember to name your pet metadata the name of your YMT. So if we go back into stream, the YMT is this, and you want to make sure your pet metadata is saved as the same thing as your YMT. So first we're going to go ahead and put in our pet metadata. I will be providing this to you as well. You remember to make sure your pet name is the MP underscore if you're using F or M. I'm using male stuff. So this is a male YMT. So I'm going to put an M, free mode underscore 01. Then the DLC name will be the name of the clothing pack you're using. So like I put Isha at the end of all of the names of my YTDs and YDDs. So together, the full DLC name will be the ped metadata and the DLC name. So MP underscore M underscore free mode underscore 01 underscore Isha is the full name. And as you can see, this is what we named our files, our add-on files. So you'll also have this here. And the creature metadata, as I've said, the creature metadata is only for heels and add-on hats, props. It's pretty much you'll just still keep this the same and use the name of the ending of your DLC name here, which was Isha for me. And everything else here will be the same. Like I said, you don't need the creature metadata, but make sure this is definitely how it should be right here. So we're gonna file, save as, and like I said, put the MP underscore 01. Mine's will be Isha. And make sure .meta is at the end of this text document. That way it saves as a meta. So we're gonna put it into the new clothing pack. I actually did change the name of this clothing pack. Pretty much I had to fix some stuff here. So I changed the name of this clothing pack to just Isha pack. So go ahead and find that. So I'm gonna put it where the stream folder is, not inside the stream folder, but pretty much next to the stream folder. Hit save. You can exit out of the metadata, and it should be here in the beginning as a meta file. So now you're gonna go ahead and go into your source code editor and use the same format. So the files would be the name of your metadata, which is here. And also the shop apparel metadata file will be the name of your metadata as well. In your FX version, really this never really changes from what I've seen. GTA5. Like I said, I'll provide you guys all of this stuff. That way you can use and change it to yours. So I'm just gonna file, save as, and I'm gonna put it in that Isha pack here. Next to stream, it should be manifest, no spaces or anything. Make sure that looks like a space. And it should be LUA as a Lua and save. So now, guys, you pretty much finished making your clothing pack from scratch. So now we're going to go ahead and put this in our resource folder. So now you're going to go ahead and bring up your server folder here. I'm using a ESX database. So I'm going to go ahead and do that like that. So I'm just going to bring that up really quick. Here is the ESX. I'm just going to go into the ESX, then the resources. I have a clothing pack, but I'm just going to throw the Isha clothing pack in here. Make sure the whole thing is lowercase. You can put it in probably some other stuff if you have it insured. Like this is actually insured. If you want, you can just throw it in here. But I'm going to insure it by itself. So I put it in here in my resources. And here is my pack right here. As you can see, I have all that stuff here. The YMT. Actually, let me change this. I just realized it says F. All right, so that's the thing with making anything from scratch with GTA. You got to remember like certain things need to be changed. Like the smallest things will mess up your whole file or server. Smallest thing, even one thing out of just spelled wrong. Okay. So here is that stream folder and everything. So here's my issue pack. I'm going to go back into the CFG or the server config here. So my server config is just this server here. I'm going to bring that up. And as I told you before, if you pretty much already have a server, you just want to make your own clothing pack, this is how you do it. Of course, you need to be subscribed to the Patreon subscription to stream clothes when you have a server, a full server, more than I believe it's 10. But mine's here is under my player slot is pretty much over. Server max clients is 10. So I can stream anything and everything for free without even have to pay for anything, because this is pretty much a test server. I'm going to set it to 8 just in case. I don't know if 10 works. Actually, 10 does work. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to leave that at 10, and I'm just going to change out what I had the original clothing pack was. So here it is. So I have this all organized and everything. Organization is key to doing pretty much your server or building your server. So I'm just going to change this to issue pack. And I'm going to hit ensure. Sometimes you can do start or ensure, it does not matter. And then this is your LUA, so, or CFG. So I'm just going to just save. So this is where my clothing pack is. So you want to make sure it's the same name as your file right here. Has to be lowercase and everything. All right. So now we're just going to go ahead and test this out and see if we have done it correctly. All right, for the moment of silence, let's go ahead and see what is going on with this. If we have done everything right, we should be able to see our clothes. So I see the first add-on we did, or replacement, I'm sorry. I see the first replacement we did, which is this jacket. Just remember, with when you're doing replacements, keep in mind that the textures will not be right unless you have exactly 16 textures. So 0 is including. So that's why I say 16. So this only had 2 textures with this. So if you are doing a replacement, make sure you take a note of how many textures are with the regular GTA 5 clothes. Okay. So like this one only has 11. So if you're doing a replacement, make sure you replace it with 11 plus 1 more texture. So 12 textures. All right, so let's make sure we have done this right. All right, so we're gonna start with, I guess, the J-bib. So here is the J-bib. It actually did change. So we're gonna change the colors. We only had 2 colors on it, black and white. There we go. We got that working. I believe we had a shirt, which is those pants here. So let me take off the legs. And I believe we had different textures on this. So 2 textures. And we had shoes as well. And here are the other shoes that we put in with the textures. So we pretty much got everything. All right, so here is the skin that had the skin attribute to it, but we had to change the R. So if I go in, and hopefully they did it right. There are some creators who don't do this right. So if I go in and change the skin, it should change with the player as well, as you see right here. So it looks like our clothing pack worked. And that is the end of the tutorial. If you have any questions, you can always join my Discord. Just remember the questions, keep them at a minimum, because I do have a lot of things that's going on. Also, you can ask questions here in YouTube. So feel free to ask your questions and I'll be sure to help you guys.